I stood in the lush garden of my future in-law's house, surrounded by vibrant blooms that seemed to echo the joy in my heart. The sun glimmered through the branches overhead as I meticulously arranged delicate white roses. I was buzzing with excitement for my wedding to Matteo, the man who made my heart race with every smile. It was a long-awaited dream, and I wanted everything to be perfect. "What do you think?" I asked Matteo, spinning around to face him, my arms outstretched in invitation to the beauty of our fevered imaginations. "I'm thinking the ceremony will be right here, where the sun sets beautifully, and I want a simple yet elegant dress that flows with the breeze." My eyes sparkled with anticipation. Matteo's eyes lit up as well, and for a moment, the world felt right, enchanted by the sound of our dreams interweaving. But then, as if a cloud had drifted between us, a flicker of concern crossed his face. I wanted to believe it was just my imagination. Surely, he too was feeling the joy of what we were building together. But just then, a chill swept through the air, and that familiar voice sliced through my bliss. "Oh, that dress is going to drown her," Serena, my sister-in-law, spat, leaning against the garden gate with her arms crossed. She was the embodiment of a storm cloud, and her eyes held a glint of resentment as she surveyed my floral arrangements like a hawk ready to swoop down on prey. I gritted my teeth to suppress a bitter response and plastered on a polite smile, forcing myself to remain calm. I could feel my stomach nodding at her snide comment, and a wave of doubt crashed over me. Would there ever be a moment where Serena would accept me? As she continued to pick apart my choices, I tried to brush off her negativity, reminding myself that this was my moment. Yet her words, dripping with disdain, echoed in my mind like a taunting chorus. I yearned for her approval. I wanted desperately to feel like a part of the Bianchi family. But with every interaction, it became glaringly clear that my existence was a thorn in her side. The tension simmered as I moved on to arranging more flowers, feeling emotionally drained. Just when I thought I could shake off her comments, I overheard her speaking to my future mother-in-law about how my style didn't fit the family's traditional expectations. My heart dropped. What a strange choice for someone looking to marry into our family, I heard her say in a whisper laced with sarcasm. The words clung to me, heavy and suffocating. I thought back to our first family gathering, where her over-the-top criticism had set the tone for every interaction since. Serena had a way of planting seeds of doubt, as if to suggest I was somehow after Matteo's money or status. I remembered how I had confided in my friends about Serena's snide remarks, and how they reassured me it was her insecurities flaunting themselves. Yet it felt exhausting to always be on high alert, wondering what she would say next. I took a deep breath, trying to regain my composure. This day was supposed to be filled with love and joy. But as I glanced towards Matteo, who was fidgeting, torn between loyalty to his sister and love for me, I felt a chilling realization. I may have to confront this dark web of jealousy soon. With my heart heavy in my chest, I returned to the flowers, fighting back the creeping sense of dread that enveloped me. As I stood in the garden, memories began to flicker in my mind like a reel playing too quickly. I recalled the first family gathering I attended after becoming engaged to Matteo. It was a barbecued feast, filled with laughter and music. Yet my heart hammered with anxiety as I finally met his family. And at the center of it all was Serena, her sharp tongue poised for attack. I remember stepping into that backyard, armed with my bright smile and an eagerness to forge connections. But instead I stumbled into a battleground. The way Serena's eyes scrutinized every little detail of my presence sent a chill down my spine. "So you're the one Matteo chose?" she had said, her tone sugary sweet but laced with venom. I tried to shrug off her criticism, but it made my heart feel heavy. At that moment, I could see her protectiveness over Matteo like a shield, and I realized how formidable a foe I was up against. I smiled through her jabs, trying to keep the atmosphere light, even as I felt the weight of her disdain. Each time she made a backhanded comment, like how lovely it was to see someone so adventurous as myself, my stomach twisted into knots. As weeks passed, I found myself more and more on edge around Serena. I had started to notice the little things, the way she would subtly undermine me in conversations or toss my background into the spotlight, all while plastering on a saccharine smile. "You know, Valentina, you really shouldn't wear such. Your tastes are quite unique." And perhaps that kind of style might not impress family members, she had remarked once, her eyes glinting maliciously as she glanced at Matteo. My heart sank, the connection between us feeling like an anchor pulling me down into dark waters. I noticed Matteo's awkwardness following those comments. The way he would sometimes hesitate when defending me, as though Serena's opinions held an unspoken weight. It broke me a little each time, feeling like my reality was bending beneath the pressure of her doubts. I needed to gather evidence, something concrete to help myself and Matteo see that Serena's manipulation was rooted in her jealousy. One evening, as I sat scrolling through my phone and sharing laughs with friends, I confided my concerns about Serena's behavior. I explained the toxic shadow she cast, and how it seemed to grow darker with every family gathering. You have to confront her, Valentina. You can't allow her to dictate how you feel in your own relationship, one friend advised, concerned yet supportive. I nodded, her words resonating, but a part of me trembled at the thought of confrontation. Seconds turned to minutes as I replayed the thought in my mind. What if it escalated things? What if I lost Matteo in the process? Just then, I heard the door creak open, and it was Matteo stepping into the room, snapping me back to reality. Hey you, what are you thinking about? He asked, wrapping his arms around me. I could feel the warmth of his love, but my heart ached with the weight of secrets. Oh, just contemplating the wedding, I replied, forcing a smile. I couldn't share everything with him, not yet. I want to make sure it's everything we dreamt of. He nodded and squeezed me tighter, unaware of the storm brewing behind my facade. I could sense how tightly tension gripped him, the internal battle waging between family loyalty and our love. But the tension reached a climax one afternoon at a wedding dress fitting. As I slipped into a gorgeous gown that accentuated every curve, I felt a wave of joy wash over me. It was the dress I'd always dreamed of. But the moment I stepped out to show my future mother-in-law, I saw Serena lurking by the door, her expression sour as vinegar. Before I could savor the joy of my mother-in-law's compliment, I overheard Serena whisper to her, "Is it really the right fit for someone like her?" Pain pricked at my heart, a rush of anger coursing through my veins. I confronted Serena right there, my voice trembling with emotion. "Why do you have to undermine me? I'm marrying your brother. Can't you be happy for us?" Serena feigned innocence, her eyes widening in mock surprise. "Oh, sweet Valentina, I'm just looking out for my brother. I wouldn't want him to marry someone who might not fit in." It was infuriating how she twisted the truth, playing the victim while cunningly deflecting blame. My heart raced as I felt Matteo's presence behind me, making the confrontation even more charged. I have to talk to him, I thought, trying to stay calm as the weight of uncertainty crept in. Just at that moment, Matteo approached, looking confused by the tension in the air. "Is everything okay?" he asked, his brow furrowed. I took a deep breath, knowing I needed to voice my concerns about Serena's behavior. But his loyalty to her was palpable, a wall between us that felt insurmountable. Despite the confrontation, I felt a little empowered. I began to gather my thoughts and map out how I would tackle the problem. Little did I know that the web of lies Serena was weaving would soon come to a head, and I needed to be ready. The revelation of her duplicity was imminent, but I had to strategize my next steps carefully, maintaining my dignity all while rekindling hope for our future together. The air was thick with tension at the wedding dress fitting, and I could feel the unease building as my day took an unexpected turn. The sequins on my gown shimmered under the harsh lights, reflecting my inner uncertainty. Just moments ago, I had felt so radiant, but now everything felt tainted. I caught Serena's knowing smirk in the mirror, and something primal within me stirred. I couldn't let her tear down what I had fought so hard to build. I had thought that confronting her would leave a dent in her armor, but it seemed to have only fueled her fire. As I stepped into the bridal suite to freshen up, my heart raced with frustration. It struck me then how deep her vendetta ran. She was relentless in her manipulation, and I was at the center of it. I pressed my hands against the cool marble sink, grounding myself as I prepared for what I hoped to be another confrontation. Later that evening, we gathered for a family dinner, and I could feel the tension crackling in the air like static before a storm. Each family member was seated around the table, plates filled with delicious Italian fare, but all I could focus on was Serena, who sat across from me with an unsettling smile. Every bite of pasta tasted bittersweet. I needed to voice my concerns, but the words seemed lodged somewhere deep inside me. In the middle of dinner, I caught Serena's gaze as she subtly leaned toward Matteo. "You know, Matteo," she began, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "I heard something the other day about Valentina. It's quite interesting, really." My heart sank. I could feel the blood rushing to my face, outrage mixing with fear. This was a low blow, and she knew it. Matt's brow furrowed not out of suspicion, but rather confusion, and I could see the flicker of doubt cross his eyes. "What are you saying, Serena? What did you hear?" "Oh, nothing major," she replied with a casual wave of her hand. "Just rumors about her past. You know how it is, people talk." Anger boiled within me, but I steadied myself. This was it. This was where I needed to draw the line. "Serena, what exactly are you implying?" I asked, my voice unwavering yet measured. The table fell silent, and all eyes turned to me. My heart pounded, both from adrenaline and the need to protect myself from her cunning games. She turned to me, feigning innocence. "I'm just worried for you, that's all. I wouldn't want you to embarrass Matteo by bringing potentially harmful secrets into his life." It was a manipulative tactic, and I felt my fists clench beneath the table. "Enough," I blurted out, my voice sharper than I intended. "You've been nothing but cruel to me, Serena. For once, could you try being supportive of me as I try to become part of this family?" Raising an eyebrow, she turned to Matteo. "See, she can't even handle a little family banter." The way she twisted my confrontation into a spectacle made my blood boil. I felt all eyes on me, the pressure mounting as I looked desperately into Matteo's eyes. He looked lost, unsure of who to support. "Valentina, he started, but I cut him off. "I need you to trust me," I insisted, desperation creeping into my voice. "If you can't believe in the love we have, then what do we have? I need you to see her for what she really is." That moment felt crucial, like the turning point a movie builds toward. The tension was palpable, and I could sense everyone's eyes glancing between us. Confusion etched into their expressions. Yet there was a fire within me driving me to fight back. I wanted to prove that love was stronger than Serena's lies. As I shared my feelings, I realized I had been preparing for this confrontation without recognizing the depth of my emotions. "I'm not here to disrupt your family harmony, but I refuse to be painted as the villain because of someone's jealousy. I hope you can understand that. I love you, Matteo. I want to be a part of this family." Matteo's face went pale, and I saw the internal conflict flash across his features. My heart ached for him, grappling with loyalty on one side and love on the other. Finally, I took a breath and felt determination swell inside me. I would not allow Serena to continue her games unchecked. I turned to my friends, who sat nearby, and shared what had been happening behind the scenes. They nodded in solidarity, ready to back me up when the moment called for it. The evening felt suspended in time, an emotional standoff lingering in the air. I could feel the shift as Matteo weighed his options carefully. Then, with a surge of conviction, I whispered to myself, "I cannot let this go." As family members began to murmur among themselves, I knew it was time. I resolved to gather evidence of Serena's schemes, whether it be through overheard conversations or acknowledgments from my friends. I needed concrete proof to establish my worth in this family. With this decision made, I stood up at the table. "Could we take a moment away from this?" I asked, pointing toward the patio with a few friends. "I can't let her hold this over us any longer." It felt like a leap of faith, but I decided I would fight for the love Matteo and I shared. With hope surging through me, I hoped things would turn around soon. After the evening's escalating tensions, I felt a newfound sense of resolve surge through me as I stepped onto the patio with my friends. We huddled together under the soft glow of string lights, the cool night air providing a necessary reprieve from the storm of emotions I had just experienced. The laughter and chatter from inside the house muffled slightly, creating a cocoon of safety around us. "Okay," I exhaled, placing my hands on the railing, staring out into the garden illuminated by moonlight. "This has gone too far. I know us being together bothers her. I can feel it. Valentina, this isn't just about her jealousy anymore," my friend Sophia offered, her eyes bright with concern. You can't let her continue to undermine you. You have to push back. You deserve to be happy. I felt gratitude unfurl in my chest at her support. Sophia had been vocal about standing by my side, and her words ignited a fire within me. How can I do that? I asked, running a hand through my hair, frustration bubbling just beneath the surface. I need something concrete to bring to Mateo. If I'm going to convince him, I need proof. You've already seen her sly comments, but maybe you could catch her in the act, suggested Leo, another friend, a spark of mischief in his eyes. You should find a way to capture her manipulations so you can show Mateo she isn't just meddling, it's malicious. I nodded, the idea taking root in my mind. I felt a surge of determination rush through me, igniting a plan. I would expose Serena. With a steely resolve, I mapped out my strategy. The following weeks were filled with careful surveillance. I started observing Serena's interactions with others, and every time we'd meet at family events, I kept my ears perked for any manipulative comments she made. Little jabs, veiled insults, and snide remarks that chipped away at my confidence. It felt like I was stacking logs for a fire, quietly preparing for the moment I could unleash the truth. I also began confiding in Mateo less about the conflict, but shared snippets about how I felt during family gatherings, framing it in a way that invited understanding without pressing blame immediately toward Serena. I could see his concern growing, and I hoped it would form a bridge toward reconciliation. Eventually, the opportunity arose. One afternoon, at a family barbecue hosted by my future in-laws, I spotted Serena chatting with an acquaintance of theirs. I clutched my phone tightly, capturing a few candid moments while pretending to take a selfie. I could feel my heart racing. This was the moment I needed. Did you hear about Valentina? I heard Serena say, a smirk edging its way across her lips. I slipped my phone out and pressed record, the camera pointing subtly in their direction. Apparently, she doesn't handle pressure well. Just one little bump in her perfect life, and she might just fall apart. Serena continued, her voice dripping with malice. Her laughter rang like a bell, chiming clear through the chatter of the party. I felt the heat wash over me. The anger that churned inside me was palpable, but I knew I had to stay calm. This was my moment, the key I needed to turn the lock on her twisted little game. I continued recording, listening as she fabricated rumors about my character, and made disparaging comments about my upbringing. It felt like each word cut me deeper, but at the same time, I was also gathering the ammunition I needed to confront her openly. Finally, after several minutes of her disparaging remarks, I stopped the recording and headed inside, gripping my phone with fervor. With adrenaline coursing in my veins, I showed it to Sophia and Leo, who both gasped as they listened, their eyes widening in shock. It was the proof I had longed for, irrefutable evidence of Serena's venomous words. Valentina, this is gold. Leo exclaimed. We need to show Mateo right away. In that moment, I felt an intoxicating blend of panic and relief flooding through me. I had captured her unfiltered, and it was time to expose the truth. That evening, under the warm glow of candles scattered across the dining table, I finally approached Mateo. He looked up from the table, his brow furrowed with concern. What's wrong? You look a little pale. It's about Serena. I took a deep breath, feeling my heart race. I need you to listen. I'm tired of feeling like a threat in your family. This isn't just me being sensitive. You have to see what she's doing. I handed him my phone, my palms sweating as he pressed play, and listened to Serena's voice in disbelief. He sat in silence, tension palpable in the air between us. The color drained from his face as he processed the words coming from his sister's mouth, each insult sticking in his mind like daggers. I held my breath, feeling both anxious and hopeful, waiting for his reaction. When the video ended, Mateo looked up from the screen, shock clouding his features. I can't believe she would do something like this, he whispered, his voice trembling slightly. His expression pointed toward remorse and confusion, and I watched as his loyalty began to unravel. Mateo, I just wanted you to know this isn't just me being overly cautious. I want to be part of your family, but I can't do that while she's trying to tear me apart. I said, my voice steady but filled with emotion. I never knew he trailed off, glancing back down at the phone. I need to talk to her. This can't continue. Relief washed over me, mixing with disbelief as I realized that he finally saw the truth. No longer would she hide behind her cowardly jibes and backhanded comments. In that moment, it felt as though the weight of the world had shifted, and with it came possibilities for clarity, for resolution. I squeezed Mateo's hand, a smile beginning to bloom as I quietly hoped that this was the tipping point we both needed. Our future was more than just a wedding. It was carving a new path through a thicket of doubts, resentment, and family dynamics, and together, we would face whatever came next. The confrontation unfolded like a scene straight out of a tense drama, and I felt an electrifying mix of hope and dread as I watched Mateo process the evidence I had gathered against Serena. After sharing the video of her cruel remarks, I expected confusion or maybe even anger, but what I didn't anticipate was the solid resolve that shone in his eyes. "Valentina, I need to talk to her," he said, determination threading through each syllable. It was like watching a light switch flip, revealing the true strength inside him. I could feel a wave of relief wash over me. He was ready to face his sister, to stand up for our relationship. "Yes, you need to confront her." I pushed, my heart racing against my ribcage. I had been waiting for this moment, where Mateo would finally see through Serena's manipulation and protect our future together. Mateo dialed Serena's number, his expression unreadable as he arranged to meet her at a cafe. As he left, I paced our living room, anxiety and excitement twisting within me. The family dynamic felt suffocating, each memory of Serena's sharp barbs echoing in my mind. Yet every step I took reinforced the resolve growing inside of me. This confrontation wasn't just about defending myself. It was about reclaiming my place in the family. When Mateo returned, his face was serious, his brow knitted tight with thought. "How did it go?" I managed to ask, my voice tinged with nervous anticipation. "It was intense," he admitted, running a hand through his hair, visible frustration radiating from him. "I confronted her about everything, about the things she said in that video." I could sense the tension in the air swell as he recalled their meeting. "And what did she say?" My heart raced, a mix of hope and fear swirling within me. "She laughed it off," he replied, disappointment lacing his tone. "Called it a joke, said I shouldn't believe everything I see on a phone, that you were just being overly sensitive." Anger bubbled up inside me once again. "And you believe her?" "I don't anymore," he said with newfound strength. "I didn't give her an answer. I told her we need to take a break from each other." Relief flooded over me, his commitment to defend me and our relationship driving a stake of hope into my heart. Days turned into a blur of tension, the atmosphere at family gatherings shifting dramatically. What was once filled with laughter now carried awkward silences, particularly when Serena was around. I found solace in the support of friends and sympathetic family members who had noticed her hostility, their camaraderie providing strength as I navigated the murky waters of hostility and allegiance within the family. Still, I couldn't shake the unease. I felt like a ticking time bomb, waiting for her next move. Finally, I received an invitation for tea with Serena herself. A chance I understood was crucial for me to confront her face to face. The cafe was lively, filled with chatter and laughter, the bustle of life contrasting sharply with the weight of the tension that simmered between us. I took a deep breath and steeled myself, ready to unleash the words that had been trapped in my throat for far too long. "Serena," I started, the determination in my voice reminiscent of a warrior preparing for battle. "We need to talk about what you said. Your comments were hurtful and completely unnecessary." Her shocked expression quickly morphed into indignation. "I was just being funny. You need to lighten up. Everyone knows you're too sensitive," she retorted, arms crossed defiantly. "Not this time," I replied, pressing forward with steel in my gaze. "You need to understand that your words carry weight, and they cut deep. If you want any sort of relationship with me, you must change how you speak to us." I felt my pulse racing, my heart pounding in my throat. As I challenged her, I could see her facade beginning to crack, her bravado weakening under the weight of my earnestness. "You don't know what it's like to protect someone, Valentina," she spat, her voice wavering. "But you're suffocating him." I fired back, every word laced with conviction. All you do is tear down every positive aspect of his life. You need to realize that it's not just sibling love, it's manipulation. In that moment, the tension between us crystallized, and it felt as though the world around us paused. I stared at her, willing this confrontation to tear down the walls that had built up for far too long. Change was necessary, and we were at the precipice of deciding the future of our family dynamics. Fine. I'll back off, Serena said, bitterness saturating her words. But don't think this is the end. We'll see who he chooses in the long run. With that, she stormed out of the cafe, leaving me standing there, emotions swirling through me. I had spoken my truth, risked everything in that confrontation. As I stepped outside, feeling the sun warm my skin, a sense of both triumph and uncertainty filled my heart. I had stood my ground, and while the battle was far from over, I felt emboldened. Matteo was by my side, and together we could face whatever challenges lay ahead, perhaps even forge relationships anew amidst the lingering shadows of manipulation. That evening, I found solace in a quiet program we watched together at home, taking comfort in our shared laugh and reaffirmation of commitment. Hand in hand, we faced the complexities of family and love, prepared to stumble, but ultimately to rise stronger than before. I whispered a silent promise to myself. I would never be silenced again. This was not just about surviving, it was about thriving in a family that was becoming my own. As days turned into weeks, I felt a strange transformation within myself. What began as a battlefield of words with Serena morphed into a fraught new normal. Every family gathering was tinged with anticipation, like waiting for a storm to break. I had planted the seeds for change, but the road ahead felt precarious, and I knew I had to be careful as I navigated this new landscape. Matteo and I began creating our own little world. Our shared moments became my refuge, a sanctuary from the tensions that loomed around us. I relished those quiet times when we could talk openly about our dreams, fears, and the plans we laid for our future. I often wondered if this newfound intimacy was igniting the spark of a stronger bond between us, or merely a reaction to the chaos swirling in the backdrop of our family dynamics. One evening, as we snuggled on the couch under a blanket, laughter bubbling between us, I felt a warmth spread through my chest. "You know," Matteo said, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear, "I'm so proud of how you stood up to Serena. You were fearless." The earnestness in his voice made my heart swell, and I leaned in closer, unable to hide my smile. "It wasn't easy," I admitted, shivering from the memory of that confrontation. "But I realized that I deserved to be heard. I won't let her undermine our relationship." Matteo's eyes sparkled with admiration, and for a moment, it felt like we were cocooned in our own bubble of safety. We discussed possible family scenarios, especially what we would do if there were confrontations in the future with Serena. "I think we should be ready for anything," Matteo said thoughtfully, clasping my hand. "If she lashes out again, we need to tackle it together side by side." His unwavering support brought me a sense of stability, grounding me. I nodded, feeling an irreplaceable connection grow between us. But as the weeks passed, cracks in Serena's veneer began to show. Common comments turned into bitter remarks, her discomfort palpable. I could sense the tension in the air whenever she entered a room, her eyes flaring with hidden anger that only occasionally came to the surface. Family gatherings were like walking through a minefield, each step forward fraught with uncertainty. During one such gathering at our parents' house, I reluctantly took my place at the table among the quiet festivity, hoping to keep the atmosphere light. Conversations flowed, laughter erupted, but I remained acutely aware of Serena's piercing gaze lingering on me. I felt like the target of a game I didn't want to play. Halfway through dinner, just as I took a bite of the delicious lasagna my mother had made, Serena couldn't contain herself any longer. "You know, Valentina, not everyone appreciates your dramatic flair." As the weeks progressed, the tension with Serena remained, yet I sensed a subtle shift within our family dynamics. I was learning to find strength in confronting her rather than shrinking away under her barbed comments. It was empowering, but the constant anticipation of her next jab felt exhausting. One chilly Saturday afternoon, I received a text from Matteo asking to meet at our favorite park. Walking through the crisp autumn leaves, anticipation and apprehension battled within me. Would this be another discussion about Serena's manipulation? Upon arriving, I spotted Matteo sitting on our usual bench, deep in thought. When he greeted me, pulling me into a warm embrace, I felt my worries ease. Yet, I could sense the gravity of what he was about to say. "Hey, I spoke to my mom last night," he began cautiously. "She's worried about how tense things have gotten, especially with Serena." My stomach tightened. What does she want us to do? "She suggests we try family therapy, to talk things out with a professional," he proposed, searching my eyes for a reaction. "Therapy? Do you think that would really help? I mean, what if Serena refuses to engage?" I replied, skeptical. "I believe it could help her see how her actions affect us. Plus, it would give us a platform to express our feelings," he encouraged, his earnestness thawing my doubts. "Okay, let's give it a shot," I said, my voice firmer now. The prospect of therapy became a beacon of hope, a step towards breaking the cycle of manipulation. Matteo and I carefully crafted a message to our family, framing the idea of therapy with sensitivity. As I paced the floor waiting for their responses, nervous anticipation enveloped me. To my surprise, our mother agreed, believing in the necessity of reconciliation. But the responses from Serena and my father dripped with skepticism. Serena shot back a message mocking the idea. "You think talking helps? Pathetic," she sneered. "Let's not be disheartened," Matteo said, squeezing my shoulder. "She'll come around. She can't cling to negativity forever." His optimism wrapped around me, shielding me from Serena's bitterness. After several pushbacks, Serena reluctantly agreed to attend the first therapy session. On the day of the meeting, unease churned within me as we gathered in the therapist's cozy office, bright lights casting a warm glow in an otherwise charged atmosphere. "Let's start by sharing how we feel," Juliana, our therapist, suggested. When my turn arrived, I took a deep breath, glancing at Serena. "I want to feel comfortable in our family. It often feels like I'm walking on eggshells around you. Your words sometimes knock me down before I can even stand proudly." A slight shift hinted that my words resonated, but she quickly shot back. "You're too sensitive, Valentina. Toughen up." I felt a surge of courage. "Sensitivity isn't the problem, Serena. It's the impact of your words. I want you to understand how they affect me and how they affect Matteo." The room buzzed with tension. Each statement felt like a pebble thrown into water, making ripples that could lead to deeper understanding. That evening marked just the beginning, but it felt significant. With each session, we were forging pathways toward comprehension and connection amid the tumult of complex family dynamics.